Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing you're completely debt-free. No credit card payments, no car loan, no mortgage hanging over your head. Your bank account is growing, your investments are working for you, and you have the freedom to live life on your own terms. Sounds like a dream, right? For most people, money is a source of stress, arguments, and sleepless nights. We've been told that debt is just a part of life, that car loans and credit cards are necessary evils, and that we'll always have a mortgage. But what if that's all a lie? That's where The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey comes in. This book isn't just about managing money, it's about transforming your financial future. It's a no-nonsense, step-by-step plan to help you break free from debt, build wealth, and take control of your financial destiny. Whether you're drowning in credit card bills, struggling to save, or just want to stop living paycheck to paycheck, this book gives you a proven roadmap to financial freedom. Here's what you'll learn: why everything you've been told about debt is wrong, and how to escape the cycle for good. How to build a rock-solid emergency fund and stop living on the edge. The simple yet powerful strategy to pay off debt faster than you ever thought possible. How to invest wisely, retire comfortably, and even pay off your house early. Why financial freedom isn't just about money, it's about peace of mind and living life on your own terms. Dave Ramsey's approach is tough love. No sugarcoating, no shortcuts, just real financial wisdom that actually works. If you're ready to stop making excuses and start making progress, this book will change your life. So, are you ready for your own total money makeover? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The Total Money Makeover Challenge. Imagine standing in front of your bathroom mirror, stomach out, shirt off, poking at your belly and saying, "I think I'm in pretty good shape." But deep down, you know you've been living off fast food, skipping workouts, and lying to yourself about the state of your health. That's exactly how Dave Ramsey opens The Total Money Makeover, not with numbers and spreadsheets, but with a gut check moment. Except in this case, it's not your waistline that's flabby, it's your finances. This chapter is all about the wake-up call. Most people in America are living paycheck to paycheck, juggling credit card debt, car payments, student loans, and maybe even a second mortgage. Sure, they might look okay on the outside, driving a nice SUV, living in a decent neighborhood, but under the hood, their money situation is a mess. Ramsey compares this to someone who's had just enough success to believe they're doing fine, when they're actually financially overweight, sluggish, and on the edge of a breakdown. So what's the Total Money Makeover Challenge all about? First, the truth bomb. Most people are broke. According to Dave, the average American can't cover a $1,000 emergency without turning to a credit card. We live in a culture of debt. We lease cars we can't afford, buy homes with zero down, swipe cards for vacations, and convince ourselves it's all okay because everybody else is doing it. But here's the kicker. Normal is broke. If you want to win with money, you have to stop trying to be normal. In fact, Ramsey's mantra throughout the book is, if you live like no one else now, later you can live like no one else. In other words, sacrifice today so you can be free tomorrow. The challenge begins. Dave isn't just handing you advice. He's throwing down a challenge. He's saying, look, if you're tired of being stressed, tired of living paycheck to paycheck, tired of the fear, the guilt, the shame, then it's time for a total money makeover. But let's be clear, this isn't a quick fix. It's not about refinancing your house or getting a better credit score or moving your debt around like puzzle pieces. This is a total lifestyle shift. Ramsey even calls it financial surgery. It's going to cut deep, it's going to hurt, but it's going to save your life. And like any great fitness transformation, it starts with changing your mindset. 3 core beliefs you need to adopt. You can take control of your money. You're not a victim. You're not doomed because of your upbringing or past mistakes. You can fix this, but only if you accept full responsibility for where you are. Debt is not a tool, it's a trap. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts in the book. We've been sold the idea that debt is normal, necessary, and even smart. But Ramsey's going to spend the entire book dismantling that myth, brick by brick. You need a plan, and you need to commit to it completely, not halfway, not just reading the book and nodding along. You've got to go all in, burn the ships, no turning back. Meet the survivors. To drive this home, Ramsey shares real-life stories of people who have completed their total money makeover, people who were drowning in 6 figures of debt, who faced foreclosure, who had their lights shut off, and came back stronger. Each story proves the same thing. This system works if you follow it. There's the single mom who paid off $70,000 of debt in under 3 years. The young couple who said no to fancy cars and big vacations and instead built up an emergency fund, paid cash for everything, and are now living stress-free. The retiree who thought it was too late but decided to give the system a shot anyway and now has peace of mind and a paid-for home. These aren't unicorns. They're everyday Americans who got tired of being broke and did something about it. The plan in a nutshell. At the end of the chapter, Ramsey introduces the broad strokes of his 7-step plan, what he calls the baby steps. They're simple, they're clear, and yes, they're hard, but they work. Here's a sneak peek. Save $1,000 for a starter emergency fund. Pay off all debt except the house using the Debt Snowball method. Build a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. Invest 15% of household income in retirement. Save for your children's college. Pay off your home early. Build wealth and give generously. Each of these steps will be unpacked in detail in later chapters. But the key here is you take them one at a time, in order, without skipping around. Key takeaway: you're not broken, you're not stupid, you've just been following bad advice. The total money makeover isn't about judging you for past mistakes. It's about giving you a proven roadmap to finally break free. This is your financial transformation moment, your before picture. The challenge: own your situation, commit to change, and take that first step. The total money makeover doesn't ask, how can I look richer? It asks, how can I actually be wealthy for real, forever? And the answer? It starts here, with a decision, a challenge, a total makeover. You in? Chapter 2. Denial. I'm not that out of shape. We've all done it. Walked past a mirror, sucked in our gut, adjusted our shirt, and convinced ourselves, I'm not that out of shape. Maybe you even hit the drive-thru later that day because, hey, you deserve it. Dave Ramsey draws a powerful parallel here. Denial in health is just like denial in money. It's comforting, deceptive, and incredibly dangerous. In Chapter 2, he takes us deep into the mindset that keeps millions of Americans financially stuck. Not because they're dumb or lazy, but because they're in denial. The money denial epidemic. Denial is sneaky. It tells you everything's fine. It says your student loans are good debt, your credit card balance is manageable, and leasing a new car is just part of life. But here's the raw truth. Denial is the most dangerous obstacle to financial freedom. Why? Because you can't fix what you won't admit is broken. Dave compares denial to being overweight and continuing to eat like nothing's wrong. One day the heart attack hits and you realize those extra 50 pounds were a big deal. In the same way, financial breakdowns don't happen overnight. They build up slowly through credit cards, car loans, home equity lines of credit, until one day you wake up broke, stressed, and trapped. Ramsey even points out how common this is among people who look successful. Fancy homes, designer clothes, high-end gadgets, it all looks like wealth. But many of these people are treading water, drowning in payments. Their net worth is a house of cards. built on loans and the illusion of prosperity, the financial fat suit. Imagine walking around in a padded suit that hides the damage. You can't see your debt clearly because it's layered in justification and optimism. That's what denial is, a financial fat suit. It muffles the discomfort, masks the consequences, and delays the pain until you're forced to face it. Ramsey says people in denial often believe lies like, "I'll start saving later. I just need to make a little more money. Everybody has debt. I'm young. I've got time. If I can just get a raise, everything will be okay." But here's the brutal truth bomb. You don't need more money. You need a new mindset. Because if you don't change how you handle the money you already have, getting more will just make your problems bigger. The turning point. Hitting rock bottom. Most people don't change until they hit a wall. Ramsey describes it as a moment of total clarity. Maybe it's a bounced check. Maybe it's an emergency that you can't afford. Maybe it's the humiliation of your card being declined at dinner. Whatever it is, it's the wake-up moment. That's when denial loses its grip. You stop pretending, you get angry, you get scared, and most importantly, you get serious. And that's good, because pain is often the only thing that forces change. Dave shares a story about a man who was making over $100,000 a year, but living paycheck to paycheck. He thought he was fine until he missed 2 paychecks and realized how broke he really was. That gut punch? That's the start of a real total money makeover. Facing the mirror. This chapter challenges you to look honestly at your financial health, not just your income, not just your job title, but your net worth. What you actually own versus what you owe. If your net worth is negative, if you're living off credit, if you don't have an emergency fund, then no matter how much you make, you're not winning. But admitting that isn't shameful, it's brave. It's the first step toward freedom. Excuses meet accountability. One of the biggest symptoms of denial is blame. We blame the government. We blame the economy. We blame our parents, our job, our spouse. But Ramsey shuts that down hard. Blame is a symptom of denial. Responsibility is the cure. Yes, you may have been handed a raw deal. Yes, the system is flawed, but you are the only one who can fix your financial future. And the good news? You can fix it. The transformation begins when you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you and say, "I've had enough." The financial before picture, just like a fitness journey, begins with a brutally honest before photo. Your money makeover starts by facing your current reality. Ramsey says to sit down and ask yourself, how much debt do I really have? Do I have a written budget? How much money do I waste each month? Do I have anything saved? If I lost my job today, how long could I survive? This isn't fun, but it's essential, because you can't win until you get honest. And honesty is the first blow to denial. Key takeaways. Denial keeps you broke. The longer you tell yourself everything's okay, the worse it gets. Everyone hits a wall. Use your financial pain as a launching pad for transformation. You are not your income. Wealth is about net worth, not paychecks. Own your mess. Blame is the language of victims. Responsibility is the language of winners. This chapter is your mirror. No filters, no excuses, just the raw truth. Because when you finally say, "I'm not okay with this," you've already started your makeover. You've pulled off the fat suit. You've stopped lying to yourself. And that, right there, is the beginning of freedom. Now the question is, are you ready to keep going? Let's see what comes next. Chapter 3. Debt myths. Debt is not a tool. Let's talk about the biggest con in modern American culture, debt. It's sold to us like a Swiss Army knife. Versatile, helpful, even smart. You need a credit card to build your score. A car loan is just part of life. A mortgage is good debt. Leverage can make you rich. In Chapter 3, Dave Ramsey marches into that noise like a financial bulldozer. This is the chapter where he pulls back the curtain and says, "Hey, America, you've been lied to. And the lie is this: debt is a tool, but in reality, debt is a trap. Debt, the new normal, and the new problem. Walk into a car dealership, open your mailbox, scroll Instagram. Debt is everywhere, and worse, it's celebrated. You see influencers unboxing the latest gadgets bought on payment plans, young couples in homes they can't afford, and commercials proudly offering you easy financing. We live in a culture where debt isn't just accepted, it's expected. Ramsey's take: normal is broke, and if you want to be wealthy, you've got to stop being normal. Most Americans carry credit card balances, owe money on their cars, still have student loans a decade after college, and plan to retire with a mortgage. This isn't by accident, it's by design. The financial industry wants you in debt. Why? Because debt makes them rich, not you. Myth number 1, debt is a tool. Ramsey flat out rejects this. He calls it one of the most dangerous money myths out there. Debt doesn't make you wealthy. Discipline, patience, and hard work do. He compares debt to a loaded gun. Sure, some people handle it without blowing their leg off, but for most, it causes harm. It adds stress, removes options, and keeps people living paycheck to paycheck. He shares stories of families who look successful: 2 cars, big homes, nice vacations. But behind the scenes, they were suffocating under credit card bills and student loans. Ramsey's message: you can't borrow your way to wealth. Myth number 2, credit cards are necessary for building credit. This one's a favorite of the banks. Get a card, make purchases, pay it off, build that magical credit score. But Ramsey doesn't care about your FICO score. He calls it an "I love debt" score. It only tells lenders how good you are at borrowing, not how financially healthy you are. He argues that you can live without a credit score, and you're better off for it. Pay cash, get a debit card, save up, and if you must get a mortgage, there are lenders who can manually underwrite your loan using actual financial records. The goal isn't to look good to banks. The goal is to stop needing them. Myth number 3, car payments are a way of life. Everyone has a car payment. That's what the world says. Ramsey's response: that's because everyone's broke. According to his research, the average car payment in America is over $700 per month. That's $8,400 a year for something that drops in value the second you drive it off the lot. Instead, Ramsey encourages buying used cars with cash. Will it have leather seats and the new car smell? Maybe not, but it'll get you to work without dragging your paycheck down with it. He even breaks down the math. If you invested that $700 per month for 30 years, you'd have nearly $1.5 million. That's the real cost of just a car payment. Myth number 4, student loans are the only way to pay for college. This one hits hard. Millions of young people start adult life buried in student debt, convinced it was the only path forward. But Ramsey pushes back hard. There is no such thing as good debt. He argues that with community colleges, in-state tuition, scholarships, part-time jobs, and living at home, you can get a degree without loans. Yes, it takes hustle. Yes, it may take longer, but it's worth it. Debt-free graduates have freedom to take jobs they love, move where they want, start businesses, or even take time off. Those with student loans often end up locked into jobs they hate just to make payments. Myth number 5, you can beat the system. Some people believe they can outsmart the game, use 0% credit cards, juggle balance transfers, or borrow to invest. Ramsey doesn't buy it. He says the house always wins, debt always has risk, and risk without control is gambling. Even if you think you're in control, life throws curveballs. layoffs, medical emergencies, divorce. And when you're in debt, those curveballs become crises. The alternative? Get out of debt and stay out. It may not feel flashy, but it is freedom. What debt really costs you? Beyond the interest rates and monthly payments, debt costs you peace of mind. It steals your options. It creates stress in marriages, delays dreams, and builds a life on shifting sand. You become a slave to your bills, and if the paycheck stops, the whole thing comes crashing down. Ramsey doesn't just speak from theory. He shares his own story, how he went bankrupt in his 20s because he believed the same lies. He had real estate, cars, and a big house, but all on borrowed money. When the bank called in the loans, he lost it all. That's why he's passionate, because he's lived it. Key takeaways. Debt is not your friend. It's your master. If you owe money, part of your paycheck belongs to someone else. You don't need a credit score. You need savings, a plan, and freedom. You can win without borrowing. It takes sacrifice, but that sacrifice builds strength. Don't try to look rich. Be rich. And that starts with saying no to payments. The borrower is slave to the lender. Get out, stay out, and never go back. This chapter is a wake-up call. It asks you to question everything you've been told about money, to stop playing the world's game and start building a future on your terms. Because if debt is a tool, it's a dangerous one. And real wealth? It comes from cutting it loose. Are you ready to let it go? Chapter 4, Money Myths, the Non-Secrets of the Rich. We live in a world obsessed with shortcuts. From six-pack abs in 6 weeks to million-dollar stock tips on social media, everyone's selling some kind of secret formula. And when it comes to money, oh, the myths are endless. This chapter is all about busting those myths, the ones that sound smart, feel right, and promise the moon. Dave Ramsey pulls back the curtain and shows us that real wealth isn't built on hype or hacks. It's built on timeless principles, consistency, and character. Let's start with the big one. Myth number 1. The rich know secrets you don't. You've probably seen it. Flashy ads claiming to reveal what the wealthy know that you don't. They'll sell you a course, a newsletter, or a coaching program with the promise that this one trick will make you rich. Here's the truth. There are no secrets. The wealthy, real, long-term wealthy people don't rely on tricks. They live on less than they make. They avoid debt. They invest early and consistently. They stick to a plan for years. That's it. Ramsey points to research from The Millionaire Next Door, which found that most millionaires don't live in big houses, drive fancy cars, or dine in upscale restaurants. They're teachers, managers, small business owners, people you'd never guess were rich. Why? Because they don't spend like they're rich. They act with discipline. That's the real secret. It's boring, but it works. Myth number 2. You can get rich quick. This is the one that trips up the most people. Get-rich-quick schemes are everywhere. Whether it's flipping houses, cryptocurrency, stock trading, or multi-level marketing, everyone wants to strike gold. But here's what Ramsey says. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Real wealth is built over time, slowly, deliberately, with a long-term plan. Ramsey compares get-rich-quick thinking to yo-yo dieting. Sure, you might drop some weight fast, but it never lasts, and usually you end up worse off. Financially, it's the same. If your wealth isn't built on a solid foundation of savings, budgeting, and smart investing, it will collapse. He tells stories of people who made quick money, then lost it all because they weren't prepared. Without the mindset and habits to handle money, it disappears. So what's the alternative? Stay the course. Be consistent. Avoid shortcuts. They're usually dead ends. Myth number 3. Debt is a tool to build wealth. This one is sneaky because it's everywhere. People say things like, use debt to leverage your investments. Good debt builds your credit. Borrowing is how the rich get richer. Ramsey says, wrong. Debt doesn't create wealth, it steals it. Sure, debt can be used strategically in business or investing, but for the average person, it becomes a burden. That new car loan, it robs you of your future income. That credit card balance, it costs you hundreds in interest. He explains that even mortgages, often considered good debt, need to be approached with caution. Debt always adds risk. And when things go wrong, job loss, recession, medical emergency, debt magnifies the pain. His solution? Avoid it altogether. Pay cash. Save up. And if you can't afford it now, you can't afford it at all. Freedom isn't about how much stuff you can finance. It's about how much stress you don't have. Myth number 4, I deserve it. This one's personal. You work hard, right? So you deserve the vacation, the new phone, the nicer car. But Ramsey challenges that mindset. He says this kind of thinking is emotional spending dressed up as self-care, and it's killing your financial future. The truth is, you deserve peace more than you deserve stuff. You deserve financial stability, the freedom to walk away from a toxic job, the ability to retire with dignity. And that starts with discipline. Not deprivation, just intentional spending. Buy what you love, but only when you can afford it without payments or guilt. Myth number 5, it's too late for me. Another myth that keeps people stuck is the belief that they've already messed up too much. They're too deep in debt, too old to start saving, too far behind. But Ramsey argues it's never too late to start. He tells the story of a 52-year-old woman who was deep in debt and making under $40,000 per year. She followed the baby steps with intensity, and by 60, she was debt-free with a 6-figure retirement fund. The journey might take longer, but the destination is still possible. The real truth about the rich. Real millionaires don't win the lottery. They don't chase trends. They don't rely on luck. They follow a plan. They're consistent. They're intentional. They don't get distracted by what's trending. They focus on what's timeless. Living below their means, avoiding debt, saving and investing, giving generously. It's not flashy, it's not fast, but it's real. Key takeaways. There are no secrets. Wealth is built on discipline, not discoveries. Get rich quick is a lie. Real wealth grows slowly and sticks. Debt doesn't build wealth, it blocks it. Avoid it. You don't deserve stuff, you deserve freedom. It's never too late to start. Just start. Today, in a world chasing hacks and instant results, this chapter is a reset. It invites you to stop looking for magic and start building momentum. Because the rich don't do different things. They do simple things differently, over and over. And so can you. Chapter 5. 2 more hurdles, ignorance and keeping up with the Joneses. You've probably heard the phrase, what you don't know can't hurt you. Well, when it comes to money, Dave Ramsey would strongly disagree. In fact, in this chapter, he argues that what you don't know about money is exactly what's hurting you and probably keeping you broke. There are 2 big mental blocks that derail most people's financial success: ignorance and comparison. One comes from not knowing any better. The other comes from trying to look like you're doing better than you really are. Let's dive into both. Ignorance isn't bliss, it's expensive. We live in one of the most advanced, connected, and information-rich societies in history, yet many people still have no clue how money really works. Ramsey says this isn't about intelligence, it's about awareness. People simply don't know because they've never been taught. Schools don't teach budgeting, debt management, or compound interest. Families often avoid talking about money altogether. So what happens? People grow up, get jobs, start earning, and immediately start making mistakes. They finance cars, they get credit cards, They borrow for college. They fall into a trap, thinking it's just the way life works. But ignorance isn't an excuse. Ramsey makes it clear, just because you weren't taught doesn't mean you're off the hook. In the age of the internet, podcasts, books, and YouTube, there's no shortage of information. What's lacking is action. The first step to a total money makeover is owning your lack of knowledge and deciding to learn. Pick up books, listen to people who are winning with money, and ask questions. Ignorance is curable, but only if you choose to cure it. The pain of looking good. Now on to the second hurdle, keeping up with the Joneses. This one's emotional. It's about ego, pride, and the pressure to look successful, even if you're drowning in debt. The Joneses have a new SUV, so you lease one too. They just did a kitchen remodel. You put it on a credit card. Their kid goes to private school. You scramble to match it. Here's the secret Dave reveals. The Joneses are broke. They might look wealthy, but in reality, they're making payments on everything. And if their income stopped tomorrow, their entire lifestyle would collapse. Meanwhile, the people who are actually wealthy, they aren't trying to impress anyone. They drive paid-off cars, live in modest homes, and have peace of mind. Ramsey says we've become a nation of people buying things we don't need, with money we don't have, to impress people we don't even like. And social media only makes it worse. Now, we're not just comparing ourselves to neighbors. We're comparing ourselves to curated, filtered versions of everyone's life. It's exhausting and expensive. The real cost of comparison. Comparison doesn't just steal your joy, it hijacks your financial future. When you're constantly chasing someone else's lifestyle, you make decisions based on emotion, not logic. You justify purchases you can't afford. You delay savings because you deserve something nice. You use credit to maintain an image. And over time, those choices compound into real problems. Credit card debt, zero savings, and the constant stress of living paycheck to paycheck. Ramsey offers a radical but freeing solution. Stop caring what other people think. If your friends make fun of your paid-off 2006 Honda, let them laugh. If you skip a vacation to build your emergency fund, hold your head high. If your kids don't have name-brand shoes but you're debt-free, you're winning. Redefining success. Part of the problem is that we've adopted a distorted definition of success. For many people, success means visible wealth, big house, new car, designer clothes, fancy vacations. But Ramsey redefines success this way. Winning at money isn't about what you look like, it's about what you own. In other words, it's not about the appearance of wealth, it's about actual financial security. So many people are busy looking rich that they never become rich. True success is having options. It's being able to leave a toxic job and still pay the bills. It's having no credit card balance. It's sleeping peacefully at night without stressing over money. And the only way to get there is to stop living for appearances and start living for freedom. How to break free. Ramsey gives practical advice for overcoming both ignorance and comparison. Start learning right now. Read books, take a course, or just listen to someone who's already financially free. Don't be embarrassed to ask questions. Seek out mentors who live debt-free, not just those who look successful. Create your own definition of success. What really matters to you? Is it peace, security, time with family? Let those values guide your financial decisions, not what someone else is posting on Instagram. Unplug from comparison culture. Spend less time scrolling and more time planning. When you stop comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel, you gain clarity on what actually matters. Celebrate progress, not perfection. You may not be where you want to be yet, but if you're learning, budgeting, and making intentional choices, you're already ahead of the game. Key takeaways. Ignorance isn't a lack of intelligence, it's a lack of information. and information is more available than ever. Keeping up with the Joneses keeps you broke. They're not the standard, you are. Comparison is a trap. It tricks you into making emotional, financial decisions. Success isn't about looking rich. It's about being financially free. You don't need to match anyone's lifestyle. You just need to own yours. This chapter is a mirror and a map. It shows you the traps of ignorance and comparison, and then hands you the tools to escape them. Because once you stop trying to look like someone else and start learning what really works, you're finally on your way to building real, lasting wealth. Chapter 6. Save $1,000. Fast. Walk before you run. Imagine you're about to go on a long hike through rough terrain. You've got a backpack, snacks, and a plan. But before you even take the first step, you twist your ankle. Game over. That's exactly what happens to most people financially. They want to pay off debt, invest, and build wealth. But life throws a flat tire, a broken fridge, or a medical bill their way, and boom, they're right back where they started. That's why Dave Ramsey begins the actual money makeover with a simple but powerful first step. Save $1,000 fast. This is your starter emergency fund, and it's the financial ankle brace that keeps you standing when life gets bumpy. Why $1,000? Why not more? Dave knows $1,000 won't solve every emergency, but that's not the point. This isn't your full emergency fund. That comes later. This is your first win, your first taste of control. The point here isn't perfection, it's progress. See, most people skip this step. They jump straight into paying off debt. But what happens when life throws them a curveball during that process? They use a credit card, and boom, debt again. The $1,000 buffer is your shield. It helps you stop the cycle of borrowing to survive. The psychology of quick wins. One of the most overlooked parts of money management is mindset. Ramsey is big on behavior change. And when you save that first $1,000, something changes in your brain. You start believing, I can actually do this. It builds momentum, and momentum leads to more action. Dave compares it to walking before running. You don't start a marathon by sprinting. You take one solid, confident step. And this is that first step. Where do I get $1,000? For some, saving that much might seem impossible. But Ramsey doesn't let you off the hook. In fact, he calls you to rise to the occasion. He's seen single moms, minimum wage earners, and deeply in-debt families do it, and so can you. Here's how. Sell stuff. Got an old treadmill, a bike you never ride, electronics you don't use? Sell them. Turn your clutter into cash. Work extra. Pick up a side gig. Drive for a ride share. Do weekend yard work. Clean houses. Deliver pizzas. Ramsey says, your income is your greatest wealth-building tool. Use it. /spending. Pause streaming services. Eat beans and rice, not steak and sushi. Cut out the morning coffee shop run. You'd be amazed how fast small savings add up. Budget like a maniac. Every dollar should have a job. When you get intentional about your spending, money stops slipping through the cracks. This is not the time to be comfortable. It's the time to be intense. This is war. You're fighting for your financial future. What if I already have $1,000? Great. Then stash it somewhere safe, but not too accessible. Ramsey advises putting your emergency fund in a simple savings account, not under your mattress, not in a CD or mutual fund, not somewhere that takes a week to access, but also not somewhere you'll be tempted to borrow it to buy a new TV. Remember, this money is for emergencies only, not birthdays, not vacations, not Amazon Prime Day. Why this step works. You might wonder, why not just use a credit card for emergencies? And Ramsey's answer is crystal clear, because it keeps you trapped. When you use a credit card, you don't solve the problem. You just delay the pain. And it comes back bigger, meaner, and with interest. But when you pay cash, the emergency ends when you fix it. It doesn't haunt your credit report for years. It doesn't mess up your budget. It's handled. And that's what this step is all about. Handling things. Stories from the trenches. Ramsey shares stories of people who never thought they could save $1,000, and then did. Like the single mom who sold everything she could find on Facebook Marketplace and picked up 2 night shifts at a diner. Or the couple who stopped eating out for a month and sold an old dirt bike. In just a few weeks, they had $1,000. Their stories prove this step isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you're willing to change. Key takeaways. Before anything else, save $1,000 fast. It's your starter emergency fund and the first step toward financial security. This isn't about solving every problem. It's about stopping the debt cycle. Quick wins build long-term confidence. You'll prove to yourself that you can make progress. You don't need a raise. You need a plan. Sell stuff, work more, and cut back. This fund is within reach. Use it for real emergencies only. This is your break glass in case of fire money, not "I really want a new couch" money. This chapter is your green light, your first mission, the beginning of everything. Save $1,000 as fast as you can, because once you do, the path to freedom opens up. You'll walk straighter, breathe easier, and stand taller, knowing you've taken control. You're not borrowing anymore. You're building, brick by brick. This is where it gets real. Chapter 7. The Debt Snowball. Lose weight. Fast, really. Imagine you've been carrying around 50 extra pounds for years. You've tried every fad diet, every gym membership, every green smoothie, but nothing sticks. Then one day, your doctor gives you a new strategy. Start walking 15 minutes a day. Don't worry about anything else. Just show up. You do it. It's easy. You feel proud. Then you add 5 more minutes. Then you start eating better. You step on the scale. And for the first time in years, it's moving in the right direction. That's what the debt snowball is to your financial health. In Chapter 7, Dave Ramsey introduces his most famous technique, the debt snowball method. And no, it's not just about math. It's about momentum, psychology, and behavior. Let's break it down. What is the debt snowball? It's simple. You list all your debts except your mortgage, from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate. Then you pay the minimum on everything except the smallest debt. You attack the smallest one with everything you've got until it's gone. Then you roll that freed up payment into the next smallest debt and repeat. It's like rolling a snowball downhill. With every debt you crush, your momentum grows. Your snowball gets bigger, faster, stronger, and soon you're wiping out balances you once thought you'd carry for life. But wait, what about the interest rate? Here's where most people get stuck. The logical, spreadsheet-loving side of the brain says, wouldn't it be smarter to pay off the highest interest debt first? Mathematically, yes. But Ramsey's not after math wins. He's after behavior change. He's seen it time and again. The people who try the interest rate method might save a few bucks, but they usually quit. Why? Because they don't get a quick win. They feel like they're running on a treadmill to nowhere. But with the snowball method, that small first debt disappears. It feels amazing. You think, I did it. I paid something off. And suddenly, you believe in the plan. You commit harder. You budget better. You hustle more. That's what really changes everything. Step by step, building your debt snowball. Let's say you have the following debts: $500 medical bill, $1,200 credit card, $7,000 car loan, $10,000 student loan. Here's how the snowball works. List debts smallest to largest. $500 medical, $1,200 credit card, $7,000 car, $10,000 student loan. Pay minimums on everything except the smallest. Attack the $500 medical bill with every extra dollar. extra jobs, garage sales, skipped dinners out. Once that's gone, take that monthly payment and apply it to the credit card on top of its minimum. When that's done, roll both payments into the car loan. And so on. Every debt you pay off is a victory, and every victory gives you more power for the next battle. Real people, real results. Ramsey shares stories of people who've paid off $30,000, $50,000, even $100,000 in debt, not because they made huge incomes, but because they attacked the plan with fire, like the teacher and firefighter who paid off $84,000 in 30 months, or the single mom who became debt-free on a $35,000 salary. They sold stuff, worked nights, cut cable, ate beans, and used the snowball method to destroy debt. It wasn't fancy, it was focused. Why this method works so well? It's easy to understand. You don't need a finance degree, and it builds motivation. Early wins fuel discipline. It works with your emotions. Let's face it, money is emotional. This method honors that. It simplifies decisions. No more juggling which card to pay first. And the truth is, if personal finance were strictly about math, we'd all be rich. But it's not. It's about behavior. And behavior doesn't change with logic. It changes with success. Common pushback and Dave's response. But I feel stupid not paying off high-interest debt first. Ramsey says, don't confuse smart with effective. If the math method worked, you'd already be out of debt. What if I get bored? Then remind yourself what's at stake. Freedom, less stress, more options, and eventually, wealth. This feels slow. Compared to what? Minimum payments for 20 years? The snowball works because it ends. When you pay off that last debt, Ramsey describes it as one of the most joyful moments in a person's life. People cry, they scream, they dance. They call into his show and shout, "We're debt-free," and do the famous debt-free scream. Why? Because that final payment isn't just about money, it's about ownership. You did it. You took control. You broke free. And now all the money that once went to payments, you get to keep it forever. Key takeaways. List debts smallest to largest. Ignore the interest rate. Pay minimums on all but the smallest debt. Attack the smallest one like your life depends on it. Roll each paid-off payment into the next debt. Let your momentum grow with every win. This chapter is a turning point. You've saved your starter emergency fund. Now you're about to eliminate debt for good. This is the part of the journey where people start believing, really believing, that financial freedom is possible. The snowball starts small, but give it focus, intensity, and time, and it becomes an avalanche that buries your debt for good. Chapter 8. Finish the emergency fund. Kick Murphy out. You've probably heard of Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And when you're broke, it sure feels like Murphy doesn't just visit. He moves in, sleeps on your couch, eats your groceries, and breaks your washing machine while he's at it. In Chapter 8, Dave Ramsey gives you the eviction notice you've been waiting for. It's time to kick Murphy out for good by building your fully funded emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses, sitting safely in the bank. You've already completed baby steps 1 and 2. You saved your starter emergency fund, $1,000. You used the debt snowball to crush every non-mortgage debt. Now, with your income freed from payments and your confidence on fire, it's time to protect yourself permanently. Why you need a bigger safety net. The $1,000 starter fund was just a Band-Aid. It was there to stop the bleeding while you paid off debt. But now, you're walking taller, stronger, and it's time for real protection. Here's what Ramsey says. An emergency fund turns a crisis into an inconvenience. Let that sink in. If your HVAC dies in July, or your car transmission gives out, or you suddenly lose your job, You don't have to panic. You don't have to pull out a credit card. You just write a check, fix the problem, and move on. You don't fall back into debt. You don't derail your goals. You don't lose sleep. You handle it like a boss. How much should you save? Ramsey recommends saving 3 to 6 months of household expenses, not income, expenses. What it would take to keep the lights on, feed the family, and pay the essential bills if your income stopped tomorrow. If you're single, no kids, stable job, maybe 3 months is enough. If you've got a family, kids, or irregular income, shoot for 6 months. Let's say your basic monthly expenses are $3,500. That means your emergency fund target is between $10,500 and $21,000. Sounds like a lot. It is. But here's the truth. You can do this. You're debt-free now. You've got your full income back. You've already proven you can sacrifice to win. Now you just channel that same intensity into building your cushion. Where to keep the money? This fund is not for investing. It's not for spending. It's not your vacation fund or kitchen remodel fund. It's for emergencies only. Ramsey recommends keeping it in a simple money market account with check writing privileges or a high-yield savings account. Something safe, accessible, but not too easy to dip into. This money is your insurance policy. You want it liquid, not locked up. What's an emergency and what's not? This fund is for unexpected, necessary, and urgent expenses. Emergency: job loss, medical crisis, major car repair, broken appliance. Emergency travel for a funeral, not an emergency. Black Friday deals, vacations. Routine car maintenance, home decor. Upgrading your phone. Ramsey is clear. Discipline matters. When something happens, ask, is it unexpected? Is it necessary? Is it urgent? If the answer isn't yes to all three, leave the emergency fund alone. The emotional payoff. This is more than a pile of cash. It's peace of mind. Ramsey tells stories of people who, for the first time in their lives, slept peacefully after saving this fund. They stopped living on the edge. Arguments with their spouse dropped dramatically. Job stress became manageable because they weren't living in fear of a pink slip. This is about turning money from a source of stress into a source of strength. You know that feeling when you finally pay off a credit card and never have to see that balance again? Saving a full emergency fund gives you that feeling every day. How long will it take? That depends on your intensity. For some, it might take 3 to 6 months. For others, maybe a year. But remember, you're no longer paying monthly payments to credit cards, car loans, or student loans. You've already won back your income. Now it's just about directing that freed up money into your savings account. Let's say you were throwing $1,500 per month at debt. Keep that same intensity, and you could save $15,000 in 10 months. That's your 3 to 6 months right there. Ramsey reminds you, this is temporary. Yes, it's a sacrifice, but it's freedom on the other side. Why most people never do this? Simple answer: discipline. Most people don't want to save that much because they've been trained to spend every dime they earn. Or worse, more than they earn. They think they'll just rely on credit if something happens. But that's not an emergency plan. That's a gamble. Ramsey's plan takes grit. It takes saying no when everyone else is saying yes. But the reward: security, confidence, freedom. Key takeaways: a fully funded emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses, not income. This fund protects your financial plan from being derailed by life's surprises. Keep it somewhere safe, accessible, but not easy to blow. Only use it for real emergencies. Unexpected, necessary, and urgent. This is the first time you'll truly feel safe financially. When you finish this step, everything changes. You're not just surviving anymore, you're stable. No more fear, no more scrambling, no more debt as a backup plan. Murphy may knock at your door, but now you can say, "Sorry, Murphy, I'm prepared. There's no room for you here." And just like that, he's gone. Chapter 9. Maximize retirement investing. Be financially healthy for life. You've worked hard. You've saved your $1,000. You've wiped out all non-mortgage debt. You've even built your fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. That's incredible. Now what? In Chapter 9, Dave Ramsey says it's time to shift from defense to offense. You've been patching leaks, protecting your house from storms. Now it's time to build a castle. And that starts with investing for retirement, intentionally, consistently, and wisely. Ramsey's goal in this chapter is simple: help you retire with dignity, not desperation. To live your later years on your terms, not relying on your kids, a second job, or government aid. You've worked too hard to end up broke at 70. The rule: invest 15% of your income. Right off the bat, Ramsey gives you the magic number. Invest 15% of your gross household income for retirement. Not 5%, not whatever's left after bills, and definitely not, "I'll start next year." Why 15%? Because it's enough to retire well, but not so much that you can't still enjoy life or fund other goals like your kids' college or paying off the mortgage early. Let's be clear, this is step 4 in the total money makeover, and it only starts after you're out of debt, except the mortgage, and your emergency fund is fully built. Where should you invest? Ramsey keeps it simple. Mutual funds. Specifically, he recommends spreading your investments evenly across 4 types of mutual funds: growth and income, large cap funds, growth, mid-cap funds, aggressive growth, small cap funds, international funds. This diversification helps you balance risk and return. Ramsey isn't trying to beat the market. He's trying to build steady wealth over time. He also advises investing inside tax-advantaged retirement accounts first, in this order: your company's 401k, especially if there's a match. Contribute enough to get the full match. It's free money. A Roth IRA. Fund this next. It grows tax-free and you can withdraw in retirement without paying income taxes. Back to the 401k. After maxing out the Roth, go back and finish your 15% in the 401k. Why retirement can't wait. One of the biggest mistakes people make is delaying retirement investing. "I'll start next year. I just need to save for a house first, once the kids are out of daycare." But the longer you wait, the harder it gets, because you lose the power of compound growth. Ramsey walks through a powerful example. If you invest $3,000 per year from age 25 to 35, then stop completely and never invest another dollar. You'll have more at retirement than someone who invests $3,000 per year from age 35 to 65. Why? Time. Your money had more years to grow, so don't wait. Even if you feel behind, start now. Your future self will thank you. What about risk? Many people fear investing because of the stock market's ups and downs. But Ramsey reminds us, risk is real, but so is reward. Yes, the market goes down sometimes, but over time, it always goes up. He shares data showing that the average annual return of the stock market is around 10 to 12% over long periods. Yes, there are bad years, but they're followed by good years. The key? Stay in. Don't panic. Don't pull out. The people who lose money are the ones who try to time the market or sell when it dips. But those who stay the course win. Should I use a financial advisor? Absolutely, says Ramsey. A good financial advisor helps you understand your options, build your portfolio, and keep you calm when markets wobble. But choose wisely. Ramsey recommends a fee-based advisor who's willing to teach, not just sell. You want someone who has the heart of a teacher, not a salesman. Look for an advisor who explains things in plain English, encourages you to ask questions, and aligns with your long-term goals. Avoid these common retirement mistakes. Not investing at all. Fear and procrastination keep many people on the sidelines. Start now. Investing before getting out of debt. Debt payments steal your momentum. Follow the baby steps. Only investing through work. Don't rely on a 401k alone. Add a Roth IRA to the mix. Withdrawing early. Avoid early withdrawals. They come with penalties and rob your future. Trying to play the market. You're not Warren Buffett. Stay consistent. Retirement isn't just about money. It's about freedom. This chapter isn't just numbers and mutual funds. It's about the life you're creating. Ramsey paints a picture. A retirement where you travel when you want, help your grandkids with college, give generously to causes you care about, and never worry if your check will bounce. It's not about being rich, it's about being free. Free from money stress, free from dependence, free to live life on your terms. And it all starts with that 15%. Key takeaways. Invest 15% of your gross income into retirement accounts. Use your 401k, Roth IRA, and mutual funds, diversified across 4 categories. Start now. The earlier you start, the more powerful compound growth becomes. Don't fear the market. Stay consistent, stay invested, stay focused. Work with a financial advisor who educates you, not one who pressures you. This is the step where your future starts to take shape. You've stopped the bleeding. Now you're building muscle. And with every dollar you invest, you're not just securing retirement, you're proving to yourself and your family that freedom is possible. Retirement isn't a dream, it's a decision. And it starts today. Chapter 10. College funding. Make sure the kids are fit too. You've done the hard work. You've cleaned up your own mess. You're debt-free except the house. You've got a fat emergency fund and you're investing 15% of your income for retirement. Now, Dave Ramsey turns your attention toward the next generation, your kids. In Chapter 10, he asks the question, what's your plan for helping your kids avoid the same financial mistakes you made? Because let's face it, many of us learned about money the hard way. Ramsey wants you to set your children up for success, especially when it comes to one of the most expensive areas in modern life, college. Your retirement comes first. Before you even think about paying for your child's college, Ramsey makes one thing clear. Don't sacrifice your own retirement to fund their education. It's not selfish, it's smart. As he puts it, your kids can get scholarships, you can't get retirement aid. If you don't take care of yourself first, guess what? Your kids will have to support you later, and that's far worse than asking them to pitch in for college. So step 4 is retirement. Step 5 is college, in that order. Avoid student loans completely. Here comes the tough love. Dave Ramsey believes student loans are one of the biggest financial traps in America. The culture tells us that debt is the only way to get a degree. But Ramsey says that's a myth and a dangerous one. Millions of young adults are stepping into adulthood already buried in $30,000, $50,000, even $100,000 of debt. And worse, they're often clueless about what they signed up for. Ramsey's message to parents, don't pass this broken mindset down to your children. Instead, show them how to do college the smart, debt-free way. Yes, it takes planning. Yes, it may take longer, but it's possible and worth it. How to save for college the smart way. Once you're funding your retirement at 15%, you can begin investing for your kids' education. But Ramsey is careful about where you do it. He recommends using education savings accounts, ESAs, and 529 college savings plans because they offer tax advantages similar to Roth IRAs. 1. ESA, Education Savings Account. Acts like a Roth IRA for college. Grows tax-free. Max contribution, $2,000 per year per child, as of the time of writing. Income limits apply, so it won't work for high earners. 2. 529 College Savings Plan. Great option for higher income families. Higher contribution limits. Invested in mutual funds. Grows tax-free if used for qualified education expenses. Choose a plan that allows you to control the investments, not one that forces you into a limited track. Ramsey encourages choosing mutual fund-based options over prepaid tuition plans, which are too restrictive. Let the kids have skin in the game. Here's another key idea. College should be a team effort. It's not on the parents to foot the entire bill. Ramsey says it's healthy for kids to work part-time, apply for scholarships, and make thoughtful decisions about where and how they go to school. That's part of learning responsibility. Let them choose affordable schools. Community colleges, in-state universities, and trade schools are all valid paths. Live at home if necessary. It's not glamorous, but it can save thousands. Avoid name brand pressure. A fancy logo on a diploma doesn't guarantee a great job or a good life. Don't just teach your kids how to go to college. Teach them how to do it wisely. Alternatives to the 4-year plan. Not every child is cut out for a traditional 4-year college, and that's okay. Ramsey encourages parents to explore trade schools and apprenticeships, military service with education benefits, online universities with lower costs, certificate programs in tech or healthcare. The goal isn't a degree at any cost. It's launching your child into adulthood without a pile of debt. Teach financial wisdom early. Funding college is just one piece of the puzzle. Ramsey reminds parents that the best gift you can give your kids is financial education. Teach them how to budget, how to save, why debt is dangerous, how to earn money and be generous. Start early. Let them work summer jobs. Involve them in family budgeting conversations. Help them set up a simple envelope system. By the time they leave home, they should know how to handle a paycheck, not just write a term paper. Don't let guilt drive your decisions. Many parents feel guilty if they can't pay for everything, but Ramsey says this clearly. You are not a bad parent if your kid pays for part or all of their education. In fact, it might be the best thing for them. Kids who help pay for their own education often take school more seriously and make wiser decisions. Entitlement is expensive. Responsibility is empowering. Key takeaways. Only start saving for college after funding your retirement. Never borrow for your child's education. Student loans are a trap. Use ESAs and 529 plans to save tax-free for college expenses. Let your kids participate financially and practically. Explore affordable options like community college, trade school, and military benefits. Teach your kids financial wisdom now so they don't repeat your past. This chapter isn't just about dollars, it's about legacy. You're not just helping your kids go to college, you're helping them enter adulthood with confidence, skills, and freedom. Freedom from debt, freedom from financial anxiety, freedom to live a life built on wisdom, not pressure. And that's a gift no student loan can ever buy. Chapter 11. Pay off the home mortgage. Be ultra fit. You've knocked out your debts. You've got a strong emergency fund. You're investing 15% of your income for retirement. You've started saving for your kids' college. You're already in a financial place most Americans never reach. But in Chapter 11, Dave Ramsey throws down one more challenge, the final major hurdle between you and total financial freedom. Pay off your home mortgage early. Yep, Ramsey wants you to own your house outright. No 30-year payment plan, no more checks to the bank, just your name on the deed and zero balance next to it. This is where financial fitness becomes financial ultra-fitness. The The pros reach this level. You can too. But isn't a mortgage good debt? This is where the culture pushes back hard. Everyone from your neighbor to your banker will say, a mortgage is good debt. It's tax deductible. It's low interest. Ramsey's response: that's like saying, it's okay to be a little bit enslaved. His belief is simple. There's no such thing as good debt. A mortgage might be better than a credit card, but it's still a monthly chain around your neck. It still limits your freedom. It still costs interest. And it still keeps part of your paycheck working for someone else. Ramsey isn't trying to impress Wall Street. He's trying to help you live in peace. When you own your home outright, your financial stress disappears. No matter what happens to the economy or your job, you've got a paid-for place to live. That's real security, the math versus the mission. People often say, I could invest instead of paying off my house and make more in the stock market. And yes, on paper you might come out ahead. But Ramsey doesn't play this game. He believes personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% head knowledge. And emotionally, owning your home changes everything. It lowers your risk. It increases your peace. It gives you options. A paid-for home makes it possible to change careers without fear, start a business without going into debt, travel more, be generous, retire earlier. It's not just about the numbers, it's about your life. When to start paying it down. Here's the deal. Ramsey doesn't want you to start throwing extra at your mortgage until you've completed the earlier baby steps. Emergency fund in place, debt-free except mortgage, fully funded emergency fund, investing 15% of income into retirement, saving for college, if applicable. Once all that is done, game on. Time to crush the mortgage. Best practices for killing your mortgage. 1. Don't do a 30-year loan. Ramsey always recommends a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage. It saves you tens of thousands in interest and builds equity faster. 2. Never borrow more than a fourth of your take-home pay. This keeps your house from becoming a financial burden instead of a blessing. 3. Make extra principal payments as often as possible. Set a monthly goal. Throw every windfall, bonuses, tax refunds, side hustle income straight at the mortgage. 4. Use a mortgage payoff tracker. Seeing the balance shrink is incredibly motivating. 5. Don't get distracted. This isn't the time to upgrade kitchens or buy new furniture. Focus, finish, stories from the front lines. Ramsey shares stories of real people, couples with average incomes, single parents, retirees who paid off their homes early. One couple made $65,000 a year and paid off their $150,000 mortgage in 7 years. Another guy inherited a small amount from a relative and used it to wipe out his remaining balance. A woman lived simply for a decade and now owns her home in full on a teacher's salary. They all say the same thing. It was worth it. They don't miss the payments, they don't miss the debt, and they sleep like babies, peace over perks. A common question Ramsey hears is, but what about the mortgage interest tax deduction? His response, you don't spend $1 to save 25 cents. Think about it. If your tax break is $2,000, that means you still paid $8,000 in interest. That's not a win. The true reward isn't a deduction, it's peace of mind. When your mortgage is gone, you own the roof over your head. You get to keep your money, and best of all, your largest monthly expense disappears, the vision of a paid-for home. Close your eyes and picture it. You get your paycheck, and you keep all of it. You don't worry about rising interest rates. You don't panic if the market dips or you lose a client. You walk through your front door knowing you own every brick of it. That's not just stability, it's legacy. You can pass that house down, you can give more, you can retire with confidence, and you'll be miles ahead of most Americans who retire with a mortgage still hanging over their heads. Key takeaways: a mortgage is still debt, and debt is still bondage. Once baby steps 1 to 5 are complete, focus all extra income on paying off your home. A paid-for house brings peace, power, and freedom. Don't let good debt myths keep you trapped in payments. When the mortgage is gone, your entire life changes. This chapter isn't about being rich. It's about being free, free from payments, free from fear, free to live your life without owing anyone a dime. It's the difference between just surviving and thriving, between being stable and being ultra fit. Your house should be your home, not the bank's. Let's pay it off. Let's finish the race. Let's own it, all of it. Chapter 12. Build Wealth Like Crazy. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Universe of Money. By now, you've eliminated all your non-mortgage debt. You've got a full emergency fund. You're investing 15% of your income for retirement. You've paid off your home. You're not just financially fit, you're financially ripped. And in Chapter 12, Dave Ramsey calls this phase building wealth like crazy. This is where your money starts working harder than you do. You're no longer playing defense. You're on offense, charging down the field with freedom, generosity, and legacy in sight. If earlier chapters were about stopping the bleeding, this chapter is about building muscle, serious wealth-building muscle. Ramsey jokingly calls it the Arnold Schwarzenegger phase, a nod to bodybuilding legend Arnold Schwarzenegger, because this is where you get financially jacked. So what do you do with all this money now? Ramsey's answer? 3 big things. Build wealth, be outrageously generous, leave a legacy. This chapter focuses on building wealth first, but it's not about hoarding money. It's about being in a position where money is no longer your master, it's your tool, your servant. Let's walk through how to build wealth like crazy, with intensity, intention, and wisdom. Invest beyond retirement accounts. At this stage, you're already investing 15% of your income into retirement vehicles like your 401k and Roth IRA. Now you can go beyond that. Ramsey recommends using taxable investment accounts to pour fuel on your wealth-building fire. He still leans on mutual funds for long-term growth and recommends working with an advisor you trust, someone with the heart of a teacher. What kind of investments? Growth stock mutual funds. Real estate paid for in cash. Indexed mutual funds for lower fees. Businesses, if you're entrepreneurial. The key here is invest in things you understand. Don't chase trends. Don't gamble. Don't try to beat the market. Just stick to steady, proven vehicles that have stood the test of time. Real estate done right. Ramsey believes real estate can be a great wealth-building tool, but only if you do it with cash. No mortgages, no leveraging, no other people's money. He shares horror stories of people who tried to use real estate to get rich quick and ended up bankrupt. The market dipped, tenants didn't pay, and suddenly their investment became a nightmare. But people who buy properties with cash, hire property managers, and treat their investments like a business, they build serious wealth. Real estate should enhance your life, not wreck it. Keep living below your means. Just because you've hit this level doesn't mean it's time to loosen the belt and go on a spending spree. Ramsey's wealth-building mantra is simple. If you live like no one else now, later you can live and give like no one else. Millionaires, real ones, don't live flashy. They drive modest cars. They live in reasonable homes. They cook at home. They budget still. Why? Because they understand that staying wealthy is just as important as getting wealthy. The moment you start living above your means, you're opening the door to decline. Stay disciplined. Keep your expenses low and your investments high. Protect your wealth. Now that you've built something worth protecting, Ramsey urges you to lock it down. Get proper insurance, long-term disability, identity theft, umbrella policies, etc. Create a will and estate plan. If you don't have a plan for your money, the government does, and you're not gonna like it. Keep an emergency fund. Even millionaires need a cushion for the unexpected. Avoid get-rich-quick schemes. You're past the point of needing hacks. Stay the course. This isn't just about money, it's about peace of mind. The spiritual side of wealth. Ramsey takes a moment to address something most financial experts skip: the heart. When you start building wealth, it's easy to think it's all about you, your success, your comfort, your future. But Ramsey flips that idea on its head. He says, you were never meant to build wealth just for yourself. True financial maturity isn't just about having more. It's about doing more, helping others, funding charities, paying off someone else's debt, giving anonymously, supporting missions, schools, churches, and families. Money is good for fun. Money is good to invest. But money is best used to give. And that's where the real joy is. Legacy, the final frontier. When you build wealth like crazy, you're not just impacting your life, you're changing your family tree. Imagine your kids never experiencing debt. Imagine your grandkids getting through college without loans. Imagine generations of givers, not borrowers. Builders, not consumers. Leaders, not followers. That's the power of legacy wealth. But it starts with intentionality, with a plan, with teaching your kids everything you've learned. Because wealth without wisdom is a disaster waiting to happen. But wealth with wisdom, it changes the world. Key takeaways. Build serious wealth by investing beyond retirement accounts. Avoid debt-based wealth strategies, especially in real estate. Stay humble. Live below your means, no matter how much you make. Protect what you've built with insurance, a will, and wise counsel. Don't forget the purpose of wealth, freedom, impact, and generosity. This chapter is where the race becomes a legacy. You're no longer just climbing out of a hole. You're building a mountain. You've trained. You've sacrificed. You've stayed the course. Now, it's time to build like crazy, give like crazy, and live like no one else. Chapter 13. Live like no one else. You've done the hard work. You've saved. You've sacrificed. You've said no when everyone else was saying yes. And now you get to live like no one else. That's the ultimate payoff of the total money makeover, and in this final chapter, Dave Ramsey isn't teaching a new tactic or financial step. He's giving you a vision for what your life can look like when money is no longer your master, but your servant. This chapter is about freedom, purpose, and legacy. Freedom, the real wealth. Ramsey starts by painting a picture of what life looks like when you've completed the baby steps. You don't have payments, not for cars, not for credit cards, not for student loans, not even a mortgage. You have savings that cover emergencies. You're investing for retirement, giving generously and paying cash for everything. You go on vacation without guilt. You buy things without debt. You work because you want to, not because you have to. In short, you're free. Free from paycheck to paycheck living, free from collection calls, free from financial stress in your marriage, free to make choices based on values, not bills. And that, Ramsey says, is the whole point of this journey. Living like no one else means living differently. You've probably heard Ramsey say it 100 times by now. If you will live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. It means doing things others won't do today, so you can live a life others can't dream of tomorrow. And in this final chapter, he urges you not to fall back into the habits of the average American who's broke, stressed, and always behind. Instead, keep living with purpose, keep budgeting, keep giving, keep saving, keep teaching your kids the same principles. The power of giving. Once you've built wealth, the most fun you'll ever have with money isn't spending it, it's giving it away. Ramsey says the ability to give outrageously is the greatest financial privilege in the world. You're no longer just tipping a cause, you're transforming lives. He shares stories of people who paid off someone else's mortgage, who bought a car for a single mom, who funded adoptions, charities, and scholarships, quietly, anonymously, joyfully. When you're no longer owned by debt, you get to be a giver, not just a consumer. Generosity becomes your new identity, and giving doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It feels like joy. Teaching the next generation. Now that you've won with money, Ramsey urges you to pass it on. Talk to your kids about budgeting. Show them how you saved and sacrificed. Teach them about giving, patience, contentment, and the dangers of debt. Don't just leave them money. Leave them wisdom. Let your story be a living example that financial freedom is possible, that you don't have to be rich to become wealthy, and that the best things in life are earned, not financed. Raise a generation that doesn't confuse credit limit with spending money. Raise a generation that chooses freedom over fast. You're not done, you're just beginning. Even though this is the last chapter, Ramsey is clear. You're not done. You're just at a new starting line. The habits that got you here, budgeting, saving, saying no, living on less than you make, don't end when the debt ends. They're your new lifestyle. Now you're living on purpose. You can change careers if you want to. Take risks others can't. Retire early or never retire if you love what you do. Help others in ways that change their lives. Leave a legacy for your family and your community. This is what it means to live like no one else. It's not about yachts and private jets. It's about peace, confidence, options, what real wealth looks like. Ramsey reminds us one more time, wealth isn't flashy. Wealth isn't financed Teslas and granite countertops. Wealth is paying for your child's wedding in cash. Taking your grandkids on vacation, giving away more than you used to earn, having zero anxiety when the economy shifts, sleeping well because you owe no one anything. Wealth is quiet. It doesn't beg for attention. It just shows up when life happens and says, "We're okay." Key takeaways. Living like no one else means you've earned the right to freedom and generosity. Don't fall back into old habits. Keep using the tools that got you here. Give generously because giving is the most fun you'll ever have with money. Teach your kids what you've learned. Pass down wisdom, not just wealth. This is the beginning of the life you were working toward. Now go live it. You've paid the price. You've sacrificed. You've stayed the course. Now you walk tall. You sleep peacefully. You give freely. You live boldly. You're free. You've done it. You truly live like no one else. Conclusion. So here we are. We've walked through the total money makeover step by step, tearing down the myths, breaking the cycle of debt, and laying the foundation for financial freedom. But here's the real question. What are you going to do with it? Because let's be real, just hearing this information won't change your life. Applying it will. The truth is, financial freedom isn't reserved for the rich or the lucky. It's for anyone willing to make sacrifices, stay disciplined, and take control of their money. It's for the person who's tired of living paycheck to paycheck. It's for the person who's done making excuses and ready to build real wealth. If that's you, here's your challenge. Start today. If you're drowning in debt, take a deep breath and list out everything you owe. Face it head on. If you don't have savings, start with that first $1,000 or whatever you can afford. If you've been putting off investing, open that account and take the first step. No more waiting, no more someday. Your financial future starts the moment you decide to take control. And remember, this isn't just about money. It's about freedom, peace of mind, and changing your family's future. Now, if you found this episode valuable, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. And I want to hear from you. What's your biggest takeaway from this book? What step are you taking today to transform your finances? Drop a comment, send a message, and let's keep this conversation going. Because when you live like no one else now, later, you get to live like no one else. See you next time.